Imagine living every single moment knowing with absolute certainty that your best self isn't just possible, but it's guaranteed to happen. What if you stopped doubting what you can do and started doing it? What if you walked through life not as the person you've always been, but as the incredible person you're meant to become? Here's a secret very few people will tell you. You don't need anyone's permission to be great. You were born with everything you need inside you: the plan, the ability, the tools. But if you don't use them, if you don't train, if you don't push yourself, those amazing gifts stay hidden. And silence never built anything lasting. Your best self isn't something you accidentally find. You create him. He's shaped by doing things over and over, by being disciplined and by mental effort. He's born when you make a firm decision. Everyone who's ever done something amazing started with the same thing you have: their thoughts. Because thoughts are the beginning of everything. You're the master gardener of your mind. If your mind is full of negative thoughts like doubt, fear, and distractions, you'll never get the results of the person you're meant to be. Starting your transformation. Listen closely. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect, you'll never even begin. If you're waiting to feel ready, you're already behind schedule. The person who truly changes isn't the one who feels most confident. It's the one who moves forward even when scared, who builds without applause, who wakes up earlier than he wants, trains longer than he feels like, and holds himself to high standards that no one else is checking. That person becomes unstoppable, not because he's more talented, but because he's more determined. Transformation starts when you decide that average is no longer okay. When you stop letting yourself be lazy. When you stop using your past as an excuse and start using it as fuel. When you switch from saying maybe to saying I must. That's the moment of true power. It's the moment you draw a line in the sand and declare, no more delays, no more drifting, no more playing small. From today on, I move with purpose. Your thoughts shape your reality. You have to get this. Your life always reflects what you think about most. If you constantly have doubts in your head, you'll see doubts in your results. If you focus on failure, you'll see more failures. But if you train your mind to expect growth, discipline, and strength, then everything around you will start to line up. The world doesn't react to what you wish for. It reacts to what you expect. An expectation is built by what you practice. What you practice quietly, the world will eventually see. So what are you practicing? Are you mentally preparing for success? Or are you getting ready for another round of excuses? You don't just magically achieve your dreams. You rise to the level of your standards. If your standards are low, if you allow sloppy thinking, actions, or company, don't be surprised when your life shows that same energy. But the moment you raise your standard, the moment you refuse to accept anything less than what truly matches your best self, everything begins to shift. People will say, you've changed, and they'll be right. Because growth is change, strength is change, and excellence is change. Your job isn't to make others comfortable with your transformation. Your job is to focus so much on your improvement that their opinions become unimportant. Other people's opinions can't build your life. Only your choices can. So, stop trading your potential for popularity. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break old patterns. Breaking patterns is hard, which is why so few do it. It means letting go of the old you that kept you small. It means choosing what you believe in over what's comfortable. It means outgrowing old conversations, environments, habits, and even people. But understand this, your old self can't walk into your new future. You have to leave him behind. You have to stop giving him attention. You have to let him go without apology. Because your destiny can't be held back by being loyal to your past. Discipline, your unstoppable bridge. Your transformation needs discipline. And discipline is the bridge between the person you are now and the person you can become. Discipline means showing up even when it's easier to quit. It means doing the work even when you don't see results. It means keeping your word, especially to yourself. A person who keeps promises to himself becomes incredibly powerful because he knows nothing can stop him but himself. That's where true confidence comes from. Confidence isn't loud or arrogant. It's a quiet certainty that you've built yourself in the dark, that you've paid the price in private, that you've earned the right to walk into any room with confidence. Not because others know you, but because you know yourself. And a person who knows himself can't be shaken by opinions, resistance, or rejection. He's grounded, centered, and ready. Want to know the truth about transformation? It's often boring, repetitive, and lonely. It's waking up at the same time, saying no to the same temptations, choosing the harder path again and again. It's not glamorous, but it's important. And the person who respects that process will one day wake up and realize he's become someone his old self wouldn't even recognize. Not because of luck, but because he was faithful when no one was watching. You have to stop arguing with your weaker self. Stop making excuses for your limits. Stop letting your feelings control your effort. You're not your moods. You're not your thoughts. You're the master of both. Until you take that role seriously, you'll always be controlled by circumstances. But when you take charge, when you fully own who you are, your whole life starts to move in your favor. The battlefield of your mind. Transformation is a war, and the battlefield is your mind. Doubt is the enemy, decision is the weapon, and identity is the victory. You have to win this war daily. You must confirm your high standards. You must reject the idea that tells you, this is just who you are. No, who you are is who you decide to be over and over again until it sticks. And when it sticks, you become magnetic. You start attracting opportunities, people, and results that match the person you build inside. It's not that life gets easier. It's that you become stronger, more focused, more deliberate, and more unshakable. And when the world throws challenges at you, you're not moved because you're deeply rooted. You've trained for this. You've imagined this. You've made it your reality long before anyone else could see it. You don't get your best life by accident. You get it by design. And design isn't passive. It's intentional, specific, and strategic. It's driven by purpose and protected by discipline. The person who designs his life doesn't wake up hoping. He wakes up building. He doesn't fear challenges. He uses them as fuel. He doesn't chase comfort. He creates clarity. And clarity, my friend, is what truly unlocks transformation. Without clarity, you drift, you repeat old patterns, you sabotage yourself. But with clarity, you move differently. You decide quickly. You get rid of distractions. You say no with strength. You say yes with focus. And all your energy aligns with the future that belongs to you. So, if you want to transform, start here, get clear. Clear on who you are. Clear on what you value. Clear on what must change. And clear on what you're no longer willing to tolerate. Then act like it. Walk like it. Speak like it. And don't stop. Don't stop when it's hard. Don't stop when you're tired. Don't stop when no one notices. Because transformation doesn't happen when it's easy. It happens when it's necessary. And it is necessary now. The person you're meant to be is already inside you. But he won't come out through hesitation. He won't come forward through distraction. He won't reveal himself through weak effort. He will show up when you show up, fully, without apology, unshakably. You want the truth? You already have everything you need. What you might lack is consistency, full commitment, or the boldness to believe that your transformation isn't optional. It's your duty. And once you see it that way, you'll never again settle for less than what you were built to become. The daily choice for greatness. Transformation isn't about someday. It's about this moment, right now. How you show up, how you think, how you carry yourself when nobody's watching. That's where the plan for your best self is either built or abandoned. Most people wait for a breakthrough, but purposeful individuals create them. They don't wait for perfect conditions, they move. They don't wait for motivation, they decide. They don't look for approval, they know. Your best self isn't in some distant future. He's buried under layers of excuses, fears, delays, and distractions. Becoming him isn't about adding more to yourself. It's about removing what doesn't belong. It's about stripping away what's false. It's about sharpening your focus until what's left is pure, real, and powerful. You don't need to become someone else. You need to remove everything that isn't aligned with who you truly are. Every day, the world gives you a choice: evolve or repeat. Stay loyal to the old patterns or step forward into growth. Most people choose repetition, not because they don't want to grow, but because they're afraid of what growth will demand. It will demand that you change your language, your habits, your schedule, and your priorities. It will demand that you leave behind familiar discomfort for the discomfort of unfamiliar greatness. But discomfort isn't the enemy. It's your invitation to rise. When you feel uncomfortable, it means you're at the edge of expanding. It means your old self is being challenged. That's the pain of growth. Your comfort zone screaming for attention as your higher self starts to stretch. Most people run back, but you must lean into it because your next level is always hidden behind what you're resisting. You say you want success. You say you want to transform. But what are you doing about it when it's dark, when it's early, when it's inconvenient, when no one is cheering? That's the real test. That's when the real work begins. You don't rise when it's easy. You rise when it's hard, and you still choose to show up. You don't transform when it's popular. You transform when it's painful, and you keep pushing anyway. The person who transforms becomes immune to outside noise. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't need recognition. He has changed his identity so deeply that he doesn't need external validation. His standards speak for themselves. His energy introduces him. His work proves him. He no longer tries to impress. He seeks to express, not for approval, but for alignment. And when a person is aligned, he becomes untouchable. The power of your example. You must stop chasing success and start becoming the person who attracts it. Because success isn't a place you arrive at. It's a reflection. It mirrors who you are. And if you're inconsistent, unsure, or unfocused, your results will show that. But when you decide to embody discipline, excellence, clarity, and commitment, life begins to shift. Doors open, people notice, opportunities appear, not by magic, but by magnetism. You have to become magnetic, and that starts internally. It starts with how you think about yourself, how you speak to yourself, and how you see your future. If your inner world is full of doubt and confusion, your outer world will be chaotic. But when your inner world is strengthened with intention, clarity, and faith, your external world begins to mirror that power. It all begins with your words. Your words aren't neutral. Every time you say, "I'm tired, I can't, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough," you're making your mind believe in average. But when you speak the truth, the real truth, you activate something inside you. You say, "I am ready. I am built for this. I am rising. I am becoming." And those declarations, repeated with conviction, shape your identity. They become your inner soundtrack, and your life will always reflect the rhythm you march to. You must choose your soundtrack carefully, because every time you speak, you either align with your best self or your weakest self, and whichever one you feed grows. You can't transform without discipline. That's the universal cost of greatness. No shortcuts, no tricks, no detours. Discipline in your thoughts, discipline in your speech. Discipline in how you treat your time, your health, your mind, your money, and your peace. because anything you neglect will eventually control you. But what you master, you control. Mastery starts with your mornings. Your mornings must be protected. They are the foundation of your day, your energy, your decisions. The person who wakes up with a purpose controls the hours that follow. The person who wakes up reacting becomes a slave to his schedule. You must rise with intention, even if you're tired, even if it's hard. Because mastery isn't about comfort, it's about commitment. And when you are committed, you'll find strength others don't even know exists. Let's talk about focus. You can't become your best self while living distracted. Every notification, every mindless scroll, every click steals your presence. And presence is power. The person who is present sees what others miss. He hears beyond the noise. He moves with precision. Distraction is the enemy of transformation. You must protect your attention like it's gold, because it is. Most people don't lack time, they lack clarity. They don't know what truly matters, so everything gets their energy. But when you're clear, you say no more than you say yes. You do less, but with more power. You don't chase, you attract. You don't blindly hustle. You act with calm intensity, and the world starts to notice. Not because you're louder, but because your life is louder. Your results are louder. Your standards are louder. And your standard must become your compass. Not your feelings, not your circumstances, not your past, but your standard. Because your standard defines your next level. If your standard is high, you won't accept anything less than true alignment. You won't tolerate half-hearted efforts, half-hearted commitments, or half-truths. You'll walk away from people who don't respect your path, not with arrogance, but with clarity. You need clarity like oxygen. You need to know who you are, what you believe, and where you're going. Without clarity, you'll drift. You'll fall into comfortable routines. You'll forget your power. But with clarity, you'll walk through fire if you have to. You'll outlast resistance. You'll endure loneliness. Because clarity gives you vision, and vision gives you power. Every day, you must ask yourself, is this choice bringing me closer to the person I'm becoming, or keeping me tied to the one I've outgrown? That question is simple, but it will cut through all your excuses. And when you ask it daily, it becomes your filter. Your decisions become cleaner. Your path becomes straighter, and you become lighter. Because the person who walks in clarity no longer carries confusion. You'll be tempted to go back, tempted to quit, tempted to blend in. But you must remember, your best self isn't built through comfort. It's built through conviction. By showing up when others sit down. By saying no when it's easier to say yes. By staying disciplined when chaos surrounds you. By leading when no one is cheering. That's where strength is formed. That's where leaders are made. Leadership starts with you. If you can't lead your thoughts, your own habits, your own emotions, you have no business leading others. But when you lead yourself well, when you act with integrity, honor your commitments, and live what you speak, then your life becomes the message. And the person whose life is his message never has to raise his voice. His results speak for themselves. Become the man you're meant to be. So here's your mission. Live in a way that your old self would be intimidated by your presence. Become so focused that distractions can't find you. So clear that confusion disappears when you enter a room. So aligned that you feel peace even under pressure. And so disciplined that even when the world shakes, you remain unshaken. That kind of person is rare. That kind of person is real. And he's already within you, waiting to be set free. But he won't come out through comfort. He won't come out through convenience. He won't come out through shortcuts. He will only appear when you decide fully, completely, relentlessly that your best self isn't a fantasy, but a standard. And once you set that standard, live it daily, without apology, without compromise, without delay. When a person transforms, he doesn't just change his behavior. He changes his belief. He changes the way he sees the world and himself. And that shift changes everything. The person who once needed proof now walks with faith. The person who once waited for opportunity now creates it. The person who once feared failure now uses it as fuel. This is the power of internal growth. The outside world adapts to the person who has first won the war within. You can't fake this transformation. It's felt. It's lived. It's earned. Not by chance, not by wishing, not by hoping things will change. It's earned by daily, deliberate choices. It's forged in the fire of repetition. When you rise before you're ready. When you act when your body says rest. When you lead with your standard, not your emotion. When you hold the line, even when no one else does. That's when the old self starts to disappear. That's when the best version of you starts to rise. Understand this truth. Transformation isn't something you do once. It's a daily commitment. A person doesn't become their best self by climbing a mountain once time. He becomes his best self by climbing daily. Even when the top is hidden in fog, even when the path is steep, even when others turn back, he climbs. Because he's not guided by what he sees, he's guided by what he believes. Your transformation will demand that you leave behind more than just comfort. It will demand that you leave behind old identities, being tired, being average, being a victim of your past. You must decide that you are no longer that person. You are no longer confused. You are no longer willing to settle for average. You're no longer willing to entertain thoughts, people, or environments that delay your destiny. You are now driven by vision. And vision doesn't tolerate distraction. A person with vision becomes a magnet. People feel him before he even speaks. His energy is precise. His boundaries are clear. His values are unshakable. He walks into rooms and changes the atmosphere, not because he's better than others, but because he's better than who he used to be. And when you become better than who you used to be, you naturally lift the world around you. Want to make an impact? Start by transforming yourself, because your life will always speak louder than your words. You can't preach discipline if you live by excuses. You can't talk about purpose if you live by default. You can't inspire others if you're still arguing with yourself in the mirror. But when you rise, when you lead yourself, when you live in alignment, then your voice has power. Then your presence has an impact. Then your existence becomes a guiding light. This is your responsibility, not just for yourself, but for every person whose life is connected to yours. Because there are people who will only believe in greatness because they saw you embody it. They will only trust in purpose because you lived it in real time. They will only awaken their spirit because your transformation made them question their limits. This is legacy, not just money or status. Legacy is who you become and who you awaken in the process. Don't underestimate the impact of your example. There's no such thing as a private transformation. Your discipline will be noticed. Your focus will be felt. Your decisions will ripple outwards. Even when no one says it, they're watching. They're learning. They're being called to something higher because you chose to show them what's possible. But the person who transforms never does it for applause. He does it because he has standards. He does it because he's tired of being stuck. He does it because he refuses to die with regret. He does it because the pain of staying the same has finally become greater than the fear of change. And once you reach that point, once you're more afraid of not becoming your best self than you are of failing, you become unstoppable. You won't always be motivated, but that's where discipline comes in. You won't always feel inspired, but that's where structure comes in. You won't always be supported, but that's where vision comes in. And when those three align, discipline, structure, vision, you become someone the world cannot ignore. You become the person who trains without an audience. The person who sharpens his mind while others sleep. The person who speaks life when others gossip. The person who takes action while others wait. The person who expects greatness because he lives in alignment with it. And let me tell you, expectation is everything. You don't get what you want. You don't even get what you work for. You get what you believe is already yours. Expectation isn't arrogance. It's being in agreement with your potential. When you truly expect success, you prepare for it. You walk like it's yours. You organize your life around the outcome. You no longer just try things, you decide. And decisions shape destiny. You must become decisive, not impulsive or reckless, but clear. Clarity is the superpower of the transformed person. He doesn't need to try everything. He doesn't follow every trend. He moves with precision because he knows what matters. He knows who he is and what he's building. That is clarity, and clarity is magnetic. So now, you must ask yourself, what am I building? Not just in terms of goals or income, but in character, identity, and legacy? What kind of person am I becoming? And does my current behavior match that vision? If not, it's time to make adjustments. Not tomorrow now, because time isn't waiting for you to feel ready. Life responds to what you do, not what you say. You will be tested. That's a guarantee. Tested by delays, by failures, by betrayal, by silence. But those tests aren't there to break you. They're there to reveal you. They show you what still needs work, what still needs healing, what still needs clarity. Don't resent the test. Respect it. Use it. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it deepen your character. Let it harden your resolve, because on the other side of that test is power. And when you pass that test, you're no longer just hoping for transformation. You've become it. You're no longer studying discipline. You embody it. You're no longer waiting for purpose. You live it. And people will feel it, not because you talk about it, but because you are it. You're no longer the same, not because the world changed, but because you did. You change your habits. You change your thoughts. You change your language. You change your environment. You change your identity. And now everything around you must shift to match the person you've become. This is the hidden truth of transformation. The world meets you at the level of your belief, not at the level of your desire. You can want more, but if you don't believe you're worthy of more, if you don't act like it, live like it, speak like it, then you'll never access it. You'll circle the mountain for years, wondering why nothing changes. But once you believe, once you expect, once you decide, the door opens. And when it opens, you must walk through without hesitation. You must claim the seat at the table you built with your habits. You must receive the rewards of your discipline without guilt. You must walk with confidence, not because you're better, but because you've paid the price. You've outgrown the person you were. You've honored the vision inside you. You've lived with fire when others settled for comfort. And now you are him. The person you used to dream of, the person you used to admire, the person you used to pray to become. You're now living in that identity. Not because it was easy, but because you stayed. You stayed despite doubt. You stayed through the pain. You stayed through times when no one believed but you. And now, because you stayed, you rise. So, live it, own it, honor it, protect it, and never again settle for less than what you were born to become. Because your transformation isn't just about you. It's about every life your discipline will touch, every generation your choices will affect, every soul your example will awaken. You're not just a person. You are a movement, and the movement begins now.